Let's talk some financial tips to help your kids save a little cash. Hey guys, welcome back to At the Table. Sydney here, and today we are going to talk all about National Financial Literacy Month. So April is the month of financial literacy, and I thought it would be good for us to talk about helping our kids to learn financial literacy skills. This is something I'm sure we all wish that we had learned more of whenever we were younger, whether we wish we would have been able to save more, or we would have been smarter with our money, thinking about college and student loans. I'm a victim of that, where I took out all the loans and now I'm trying to pay off all those things because I didn't know all of these skills. So definitely teaching our kids about financial literacy can help them way beyond just them currently at this time. So we're going to talk about a couple different activities you can do with your kids to help them kind of gain these financial literacy skills. And there's a wide variety. So some of it is going to be really geared towards more of those a little bit older kids, maybe your later elementary youth up to high school. And then there are a few techniques that we can do with our really young ones to help them start thinking about saving and all the things that goes into money. So we do have two recipes today. Both of these are budget friendly. So the first one is a Southwest chicken skillet, and this is from Budget Bites. I have made lots of recipes from Budget Bites. I love their stuff. They're not all necessarily super healthy. There's some things that I would adjust a little bit. For the most part, they've got some really good recipes on there, and you can, adjust it as needed. The other recipe we're going to be making is a peach cobbler. And yes, there's sugar, there's a little butter in it as well, so it'll be really yummy. This one comes from the food bank, so it's another very affordable recipe to make. So we're gonna go ahead and get started with our chicken skillet. Best thing about this is it's a one-pot dish, so we're just gonna put it all in our skillet and we will be good to go. I have already cooked my chicken, so your chicken is required to be pre-cooked and shredded. Shredded it a little bit more than I probably intended. If you have never used your KitchenAid, if you have a KitchenAid, it is wonderful for shredding chicken, but just try not to forget it, because you can set it and walk away and then you totally forget that it was shredding. So our chicken's a little bit more fine, but that's okay. And again, if you didn't have a KitchenAid, you could just shred it with forks. I just cooked this in the Instant Pot for about 15 minutes. So very quick. And this actually might be more chicken than we need anyway, so I'll probably take some of that out. We do have some rice and salsa. Basically, we're just going to be adding all of our stuff together into this skillet here. So because I didn't even think, got a little bit of pregnancy brain going on here, we need, like I said, 2 cups. So this is far more chicken than we actually really need. So I'm going to just pour this into my beans, because all this is going to go in together. And then I'll put the remaining chicken in this bowl. There we go. So you've got some chicken left over. You can make some chicken salad. You can make chicken tacos. You could make chicken enchiladas. Lots of different things that you can do with that. So putting this back in, this is my chicken. And I have 1 can of black beans. And then we are also doing 1 cup of salsa. Do my green onions a little bit later. And the best thing about this, all of this stuff is pretty affordable. It's also something that you can use in other things. So, salsa, if you're not using the whole thing, you could use this again in your tacos, like I had mentioned. If you're going to use that chicken for that, in your enchiladas. You could buy some chips and have it as a snack. Whatever, you know, sounds good to you. And we have just the 1 can of black beans, so I got the no salt added. We are also going to be adding a little bit of chicken broth. I've got 1 3/4 cup of chicken broth here. And you could also do something like a better than bouillon. Just of course want to monitor that sodium that you've got if you are using something like that. Okay, and then we have our rice. I am using white rice today. This recipe, because it's a 1-pot dish, the recipe was written to be used with the white rice. If you were to switch to brown, it's going to take longer. Brown rice takes longer to cook. It's going to adjust the cook time and all of that. It's probably going to adjust the liquid that you have in there. So just to keep it simple, I'm using white rice today. Remember, when we're talking about grains, we want to try to choose the grains that are whole grain at least half the time. So, you know, we have white rice for dinner, maybe we have oatmeal for breakfast, and use some whole wheat bread for a sandwich for lunch, something like that. All right, so I'm just going to stir that all together. Go ahead and get my pan on. Ooh, making a mess here. And the last thing I've got to add is a little bit of chili powder. So as you can see, I'm not adding any, I haven't added any salt and pepper to this. You could absolutely add that for a little bit extra flavor. Your chicken broth does have some salt in it as well. Not much. I got the reduced sodium, so it's a little bit lower in sodium, but if you want it to be more salty, you could adjust that, of course, at the table, which is the best time to do it. That is our oven for our next recipe. All right, so we're doing actually a whole tablespoon, which is 3 teaspoons. My tablespoon side is a little wet. And then I'm going to stir this all up, and we're gonna let it get to a boil, and then once it's to a boil, I will let it simmer with the lid on for about 15 minutes. So we will go ahead and take our break, and we will see you guys back in just a second.
Providing fewer commutes, more backyard offices, and crystal clear meetings. Providing less, you froze up, and more presence in your presentations. Providing a better internet experience. Providing possible.
Hey guys, welcome back. So we have our skillet cooking. It's gonna simmer, continue to simmer for a little bit until we want that rice to absorb and of course everything to thicken up nicely. So what we're gonna work on next, this is actually, I call it a peach cobbler because it sounds like a peach cobbler, but it's technically called a peach crumble. And this is from the food bank. So it is from Capital Area Food Bank is where I got this recipe from. The food bank has a lot of really good recipes that are all pretty affordable. And of course, they're trying to utilize items they may be getting at the food bank. So for this recipe, I did a mix because of what I had. So I did 1 large can of peaches and I think it was like 28 ounces. And I also have of frozen peaches. I just kind of eyeballed to see what would be about the same. We need a total of 4 cans of peaches. So if you don't have frozen, that's okay. If you only have canned, or if you want to do the opposite where you just want to buy the frozen peaches, of course, let them thaw a little bit and just use frozen peaches. That will be fine as well. So totally adjust your recipes however works best for you and your budget and all of that. So we have our peaches all put into our bowl. Next thing that we need is a little bit of cinnamon. Got some of that here. And this is going to be our main ingredients, and then we're gonna do a separate bowl for our oat crumble as well. So we need about half a teaspoon of cinnamon. These peaches already smell so good. It's not quite peach season, but of course, as peaches become more in season this summer, this would be a great recipe that you could make, with what's in season and available to us. All right, we've got a little bit of flour, so we are doing just 1 tablespoon of flour. And then we also have some sugar. Pretty easy. 1.5 tablespoons of sugar here. Let's see if I can measure this. We need a little bit for our next. Oh no, that should actually be all of it. We have brown sugar for the oat crumble. All right, we're gonna mix this up. So while I'm mixing, let's talk a little bit about one of the activities that you could do. So if you're looking for things that you can do, ways to involve your kids in the financial decisions of the family, one thing you can do is just pick a utility bill and involve them in that. So maybe it's your light bill or your water bill. Definitely helps with something that is more an item that you're going to be, or a bill that they're going to be utilizing that. So electric bill, water bill, whatever. If you did something like the trash bill, that's usually pretty standard. It doesn't change. So something like a light bill, they can start to monitor each month and see, are we doing better with turning off the lights and saving a little bit of money? So you can sit down and pick one bill that you review with your child. The next thing is to set a savings goal. So let's say, my bill is X amount this month. We want to save at least $100 on that bill. Just throwing out numbers. Then you set that goal with them, and then you create a visual so they can see that goal. So maybe you start putting money every day into a little, could be a mason jar, it could be another jar. Something that you can see through would be best, and physically visualize helps them to kind of connect that as well. And then step 4 would be you're developing a clear plan. So this is how I'm going to be saving this money. Maybe you are, we're going to turn off all the lights every day. We're going to reduce the electricity that we're using in general. So maybe your heat and air, all of that. So you're kind of adjusting those, and you're talking with them about that. And then, of course, step 5, you're going to work towards that goal, and you're going to monitor your progress. So as you go, you're going to keep monitoring it and keep seeing, okay, this month we saved this much. We've not met our goal. Let's see how we can do next month, and help them to see how these things can be impacted each month based on choices that we are making. And then the last one is to celebrate and reflect. So you look back and you say, wow, we've saved this much. What are some things that we could have done differently to maybe save faster, or to maybe be more mindful about our electricity bill over the past 2 to 3 months? It doesn't have to be all in one month. It could be something that you're working towards together. And your celebration could be maybe with that money that you saved, you go do an activity together. Maybe you go to a museum. Maybe you just go out for ice cream. It doesn't have to be something that's extremely elaborate or expensive to do that. So that is one activity. We'll talk about another one in just a minute. But for now, we'll take a quick break, and I'll see you guys back in just a second. Hey guys, Sydney here, and we are doing a little survey that I hope that you guys can be a part of. So it's a quick survey. There's a QR code here that you can scan with your phone. What you're going to be winning, we are going to do a raffle where you can win a fancy knife set. So this is a knife set that I use. It's top of the line. I give it to all my volunteers, and I'm going to be raffling at the end. So please complete our survey. Won't take much time, I promise, and we thank you for having us on At the Table. Hey guys, welcome back. So we have shifted back over to our skillet recipe. because it is all done. And we cut off our stovetop and we want to let it sit for about 5 minutes. I actually did that while I was over there working on our peaches. So it has been sitting, and you can see it looks delicious. Smells delicious. All of our water is absorbed, which is our goal. And we're just kind of fluffing it up. Recipe says to fluff it with a fork. I've just got a spoon here. I'm not going to dirty another utensil, so I'm just going to stir it around and kind of flatten it up, and we're going to add our cheese. So it says any shredded cheese you could use here. Because this is kind of a spicy skillet type, I've chose the Mexican blend cheese, which is one of my favorites. I don't get the Mexican blend that has the spices in it because, again, we're kind of wanting to monitor that salt, add our own salt, adjust all of that. So I just buy the regular one that has different types of cheeses that are common in Mexican dishes. So I'm just going to sprinkle this around. Just like that. And then I'm going to add the lid back on to help it get nice and melty. And while that is getting nice and melty, we'll start working on our green onions. Now this recipe, I feel like there is a lot of stuff that we could do to it to pump it with more vegetables. And that's typically our goal when we're talking about trying to make healthier choices, is trying to increase those vegetables, because we just don't tend to eat enough of those. But you know, you could add corn to this. You could also add like a bell pepper. We've got green onions here, but if you wanted to do a yellow onion or a white onion, something like that, you could also add that in your main dish. We eat a lot of mushrooms at my house, so I think it would be good to have a little mushrooms in there. With your salsa, you are getting a little bit of vegetables in that as well, some tomato chunks, but you could even add a little bit of tomato, diced tomato to it as well, canned or fresh. All right, so that is our green onion. It said 2 green onions, so we want a decent amount to kind of sprinkle on top. I'm just gonna cut them a little bit more finely so we're not getting super big chunks. And hopefully our cheese is, yep, looks all nice and melty, looks delicious. Anything that has some of that cheesy goodness always looks good. And I'm just gonna sprinkle these on top. And these were kind of big green onions, so I'm just gonna adjust, you know, visually decide how much I think looks good. We did use about the whole. If you were just using the green part, you probably would have just used, that would be both. I like to cut the entire onion so I'm not wasting. All right, and that's done. Simple as that. There is our skillet recipe that is from Budget Bites. Our Southwest chicken skillet looks so good, going to be tasty. So what we're gonna do next, we're gonna go back over to our peach cobbler. So you guys can join me back over here. And now we need to make our oat topping. So we've already got our peaches, which is gonna be our main filling, but we have to make our little oat topping that's gonna go on top. So what we need for this, I've got some oats. It's a great thing just to buy the little tub of old-fashioned oats. This is great if you are eating oatmeal in the morning. It's good inside of recipes. It's very versatile. It doesn't take long to cook. I've used this to cook in the microwave and it's still only taken about 1 to 2 minutes. Some say that it can take 5 minutes, but for me, let's see what it says. It says 2.5 to 3 minutes on the package. For me, it depends on what I'm making, but 1 to 2 minutes is usually good enough for how I like my oatmeal. So if you're somebody that buys the little packets of oatmeal, for one, those have lots of sugar in them, but also, again, they can be pricey. You can use this in a lot of different ways. So it's a little bit more versatile then if you buy the packets, especially the flavored packets, you can only do so much with those. So our oats, we are doing 1.5 cups. This part might get a little messy, so you might want to use some gloves. That's what I've got over here. We are going to use 7 tablespoons of flour. So in speaking of, buying things, trying to make things more affordable, one thing you can also do with your children is take them to the grocery store and help them get involved with your food choices. So maybe even before you get to the grocery store, you go ahead and you have them help you with what ingredients do we need. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, got 2 more. So maybe you know that you need milk and you're trying to help your kids really brainstorm, and that's something that, I think that's our 7th. That's something that you can kind of give them hints, like, I feel like there's one more thing that we need. Maybe it's something that we drink every night with dinner, and have them really think through, oh, we don't have milk on the list. We need milk. And so that just helps to give them kind of a voice, helping involve them, helps them to realize like all that goes into actually creating a grocery list and deciding what to make with your family. This is a great time too to look at recipes and have them help you pick out recipes that might sound really good to them. So that's just kind of your pre-work before you even get to the grocery store, but a great way to involve them in that step and get them really thinking about the foods. So we're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, we'll finish up our oats and assemble our peach crumble.
When it comes to new, liquidated, and overstocked merchandise at unbeatable prices, look no further than J&B Liquidations. Shop our warehouse for discounts 40 to 90% off home goods, furniture, pet, baby, toys, tools, and more. We have just what Mom wants this Mother's Day at J&B Liquidations. Open to the public Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. until 6 p.m.
Hey guys, welcome back. So we have our oat crumble kind of started. We still need a few more things. So what we're gonna add is some brown sugar. I've already kind of measured that out. And we have a little bit of salt, not much, just 1/4 teaspoon. So just a little more than a pinch. And our last thing, this is where it starts to get a little bit messy, is going to be our butter. So we need 4 tablespoons of butter, which is 1/2 stick of butter. And this is cold butter, so you're not letting it get to room temperature. You want it to be nice and cold. And then we're gonna mix it all together. So like I said, this is where it starts to get a little bit messy. If you have gloves, or, we're talking about kids and getting them involved, maybe this is something that they can help to do because they love to get messy and get their hands dirty and stuff. All right, and I'm gonna put my gloves on just so I don't make too big of a mess. And I'm gonna just kind of mix all of this together until the butter's nice and melted and everything's blended. So, all right, continuing on to our supermarket activity that we could do. So another thing that I didn't mention when you're planning what you're gonna be making or grocery shopping for the week, maybe you also have some coupons that you look up. You can go online. I know Food Line has an app. I'm sure other grocery stores do as well. Food Line's just what we have locally here. Walmart also, I believe, has an app. You can go online and look at their store flyers and talk to the kids about, well, what could we adjust or what could we use instead of what we maybe have on our list that's going to be on sale? Or why don't we think of recipes that use these different meats or vegetables or whatever to help us save a little bit of money. So that could be all of your pre-work. You can also go ahead and figure up a budget of how much you think you will spend based on their prices that are online. And then whenever you get to the grocery store, maybe you have one item that the kids have to go find, seek out, and compare. Name brand versus the generic brand. Maybe it's a different color of fruit or vegetable. So for instance, if you're looking at bell peppers, a lot of times the green ones are a lot cheaper than the red ones, or the yellow or orange. So maybe they kind of have to decide, should I just go with green, or do I want to splurge a little bit here? And that really helps them to get involved, get thinking about how much things actually cost, how we have to think about these decisions. Food and, of course, grocery shopping is something that's a part of every single family. So this is a great tool that you can use to help involve them. They're going to have to be making those decisions as they get older as well. And it just really helps them to be smart and savvy in what they're shopping for. Afterwards, you can also have another discussion about, how much did we spend? What was our budget? And talk a little bit about what are ways maybe we could have saved more? What are things that we had to put back because it wasn't within our budget for this week? And again, that will help them. So these are all really good tips that can just help you teach kids simple things, simple skills that are going to help them for the rest of their life. And it doesn't sound like much, but it's just one tool that you have in your toolbox to really help you set up your children for success. We don't get to learn about that stuff quite as much in school anymore, or ever. I don't know if they ever did. So you being able to do these things at home can just help to instill some really good values in them as they get older. All right, so I went ahead and I did put a little bit of spray on the bottom of my pan. I've got a little juices here, maybe a little bit more than what you might have had you just using the ones in the can, because they were frozen. They did start to kind of melt a little bit. I did try to thaw them out ahead of time. Just FYI if you're using frozen peaches. And we are just going to assemble this on top. I have my oven set to 350, and this does take a while to cook. So it takes about 45 to 50 minutes. We're gonna cook it uncovered, and of course we want it to get nice and bubbly and warm. And this is a 9x13 pan. It smells delicious. So that is all that we have for today. I've made a little bit of a mess here, but it is all right. That's part of cooking, right? I'll get this in the oven. You guys can see it when it is all finished. One other thing I wanted to mention, I have a survey that's going around right now, and I'm gonna leave that open for the next month. And that will be a great way for us to collect some data on the show. Tell me what you like about the show. What have you learned? What would you like to see more of? And I will be doing a raffle for a fancy knife set. So this is gonna be in a little kit. You will have all of your knives. This thing is a value of like $120. So it is what we give our volunteers whenever you come to train with me to become a Master Food Volunteer. But I'm gonna be raffling off one of those to those who complete the survey. So make sure you do our survey. We'll have a QR code here. All you gotta do is scan it with your phone. Very short, I've just got a few questions. If you will do that, it will help me a ton, and hopefully you will win a really nice knife set. So I'm gonna get this in. I'll show you guys what it looks when it's all finished. Thank you so much for joining me on At the Table, and I will see you guys next time.